How you guys doing today? Good? Can you hear me all right and everything? All right, cool. Like Ryan said, my name is Dan Jimenez. I work out at Axistence Athletics. I'm co-owner and coach there. We're a gym and outdoor school. We're located southeast Denver, Quebec, Iliff area, right by the Dumb Friends League. So today I'm going to be talking about fitness, like the past, present, and what I think maybe the future of fitness is going to hold. Try to organize the various systems of fitness into a couple different categories and try to sort through kind of everything that's out there. So give you a little background on me. I've been in the fitness industry for about 2 years, but my fitness journey kind of started back 25 years ago. Kindergarten playground is where I really like to say I cut my teeth in fitness. Started my whole movement. From there, I did a lot of sports, soccer, wrestling, track. I spent a lot of time skiing, and surfing was my biggest hobby and passion growing up. So not really a stranger to sports. However, I didn't really know fitness was a standalone thing. I just thought you either play sports or you don't. You know, I didn't know that people actually did fitness and pursued fitness kind of outside that realm. And that really wasn't until I got to college and I was introduced to beer and 24-hour all-you-can-eat dining facilities. That's when I kind of realized, you know, this whole fitness thing, like people actually do this on the outside. So that kind of was my first eye-opening experience with fitness. And I went and grabbed a men's fitness magazine because men's fitness, I'm a man, I want to look for fitness, cool. 3x10 sets of bodybuilding exercises was what was prescribed basically every issue after issue. It's kind of that traditional bicep curls and skull crushers, tricep kickbacks. So that was my first foray into the standalone fitness field. From there, I went into the active duty Air Force. I spent 6 years active duty. I'm a reservist now. While I was there, I was introduced to CrossFit. So back in 2006, during my security forces tech school training, CrossFit was like the thing that people used military-wise. So I really liked it. It really opened my eyes to the fact that, oh, this is cool. I don't necessarily need machines. I could do this on my own. I could do it body weight. I could do it with odd objects. It was very cool. So it really kind of opened my eyes and really sparked my passion towards learning more about fitness. So with that, I kind of delved in and took every single opportunity I could to learn about any fitness thing that was out there. Every piece of, every article in a magazine, every internet reading, textbooks, anything I can get my hands on, from like the really mainstream fitness stuff to the very like lunatic fringe fitness stuff. That's just kind of my personality. I like to look at everything. I want all of the information. I just want all of it. And then from there, I can actually make my conclusions based off of it. So I did this while I was on active duty. I trained a lot of troops. I started getting really into fitness. I was in charge of a lot of training programs for security forces all throughout the Air Force. So I had a pretty big testing bed where I put into practice a lot of the things that I was reading about and learning about. And it was kind of like my first research lab, so it was pretty cool. After I got out of the Air Force, or actually out of active duty, I really liked that training aspect. I decided to legitimize myself because I had all this knowledge, but I didn't have any certifications to back it up. In the military, that was okay. Civilian sector, you kind of need some sort of, like, who is this guy? So I went out, I got every certification I could think of. I think I got like 10 certifications in like a 6-month span. I did the National Academy of Sports Medicine, I did CrossFit, I did strongman certifications and weightlifting certifications, Olympic weightlifting certifications, running, gymnastics, anything I can kind of get my hands on. So that's pretty much my background. After I got all those certifications, I trained people out of my garage for about a year and then opened up Axistence Athletics about 1.5 years ago with my business partner, Ryan, who's teaching class right now. So he's the lucky one. Yeah. Anyway, something I want to talk about today, definition of fitness. Do you guys have any definitions that you use of fitness? Any?
Feeling good.
What's that?
Feeling good.
Feeling good? Cool. I like that one. I like that. Anyone else? Definitions of fitness?
That's just some kind of movement.
Some kind of movement? Okay, awesome.
Exhausting.
What was that?
Exhausting.
Exhausting? Okay. The definition of fitness is exhausting. It's cool. I like that.
I think it's energizing.
It's energizing. You know what? You're both right. And that's what's awesome about this. There's really no wrong definition. I mean, maybe if you're into like the hot dog eating contests and, you know, if you could eat more hot dogs in less amount of time, like you're more fit. But I don't think that's like the one definition I probably wouldn't go with. But really, there's no wrong definition. A lot of people, when we talk about fitness and talk about definition of fitness, people associate it with a body type. They're like, oh, skinny or muscular or cut, ripped, jacked. You kind of hear that type of stuff. And, oh, they're fit because they have a nice body type. Another thing that it gets associated with is sports. So Outside Magazine, which is one of my guilty pleasures, they really are enamored with triathletes and ultramarathon runners. That's kind of like their thing. So every time there's the fittest this or the fittest that, it's usually like an ultramarathon runner. All right, that's kind of their definition or what they see fit. Sports Illustrated, they just came out with the top 50 fittest men, and LeBron James, #1, right? Short basketball readers are probably a pretty big contingent of their readership. Anyway, the reason I bring all this stuff up is because in order to talk about the past, present, and future of fitness, I kind of want to have a definition of what I think fitness is. So the definition I'm going to use, I'm going to take, this is kind of a more widely accepted definition. It's a little bit less ethereal. It's a little bit more statistical, if you will, quantitative versus qualitative. There's 10 attributes that are kind of associated with fitness. And it's strength, power, agility, endurance, stamina, balance, speed, coordination, accuracy, flexibility. Did I say that one? Yes. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That never happens. So the definition we're going to use today, we're going to take those 10 attributes and we're going to say that the fitter you are is the better you are across those 10 attributes. Okay? So if you're really good across those 10 attributes, you're fit. If you're not so good across those 10 attributes, you're not as fit. Right? Everyone with me? You don't necessarily have to agree, but you just have to play along for today. The cool thing about that definition, though, is a lot of like the governing agencies, there's a lot of like the NSCA, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, ACSM, they all acknowledge that those 10 attributes are part of fitness. CrossFit acknowledges those 10 attributes are important to fitness. MoveNet, all these different movement systems, they all kind of acknowledge it. So I'd say about 90% of the community acknowledge that those are a part of fitness. The next thing I want to talk about, the categories that I'm going to try to organize everything into. So I just came up with these categories. Again, you don't have to agree with them. This is just something that I kind of noticed in terms of trends and chunking and trying to organize all of the different fitness systems that are out there. So we have trendy fitness, okay? These are what's hottest, what's latest in fitness. Usually Zumba, P90X, boot camps, stuff like that kind of is what I would say fall into that trendy fitness category. Jazzercise, which is still around apparently. I just saw an advertisement for it. I'm like, seriously? I still consider it trendy though. It's kind of in that field. Then you have your sport specific or sport derivative fitness. Sport derivative fitness is mainly what you see in big box gyms, running, cardio, stuff that comes from running, swimming, biking, a lot of endurance type stuff, and bodybuilding. Bodybuilding, believe it or not, it is a sport. So the bodybuilding type of training is kind of that sport-specific realm. And then you have your general fitness, which is the third category. It's kind of where I consider like the true fitness, where you're not pursuing sport, you're not pursuing just the latest trend. It's kind of more mainstream stuff. what I throw in there, CrossFit, because it gets you better at all 10 attributes. Yoga I would throw in there because it's not just one attribute, it's multiple attributes. There's strength, there's power, there's flexibility, mind-body connection, which isn't one of them, but it's not one of the 10 attributes, but it's still pretty good. And then traditional strength and conditioning programs. So like the Denver Broncos, preseason, they do a general fitness program to get like all around fitter, and then they get turned over to their strength coaches, or I'm sorry, their sport-specific coaches. So that's kind of the other realm. So that's kind of the three categories that I'm going to be using to talk about when we talk about the past, present, and future of fitness. So in the past, all right, I could be talking about hours and hours about the history of fitness. I'm going to focus on the Western Hemisphere, okay, so kind of Europe and America. I know a lot of things were happening kind of in parallel and stuff elsewhere in different parts of Africa, different tribal regions, and Asia and stuff like that. There's so much we could talk about, but I'm going to really focus on kind of the Western Hemisphere. So in the past, there was really one category of fitness, and it was general fitness. Okay, it was that third category I just talked about. So we have the Paleolithic, Neolithic era. Fitness was more of a survival thing. It was your daily life. It was things you did every day. Hunting, gathering in the Paleolithic era. In the Neolithic, more farming and agriculture, repetitive movement, harvesting crops, that type of thing. Fast forward a little bit to ancient Rome. Ancient Rome, Greece, that was when the first actual structured fitness started coming about, and it was less of just like, oh, I'm fit because I'm surviving, and more of fitness for combat. So you've all seen the 300, yeah? Those little boys like wrestling with each other, running, jumping, throwing spears. That's the first real fitness program kind of in the Western culture. And it was because battle happened often, and if you weren't strong, your country would get taken over, and that would be the end of you guys. So combat was really the main reason why fitness started to develop. And 6th century BC, the first Olympic Games happened in Greece. It was very combat-y, so it was like running, jumping, throwing the javelin, wrestling, boxing, stuff like that. From there, 14 to 1600 AD, so the Renaissance period, there was Age of Enlightenment. There was a lot more focus on physical education. They started writing books on physical education. They started realizing that physical education could cure illnesses, and exercise and stuff like that was being used as kind of treatment, and treatment as in rehabilitation to injury as well. Flash forward to the 1700s. So in Germany, Spain, Sweden, a couple other places, gymnastics started coming. So Germany is really credited for being like the founder of gymnastics, but it's not the gymnastics that you think of today. So today you think of what, like acrobatics and artsy, very nice, everything looks aesthetically pleasing. The gymnastics that they were doing, running, jumping, climbing, vaulting over things, it was almost more parkour-ish. You guys familiar with parkour? Yeah, so it was more practical application. It was very utilitarian. But that was really like the first gymnastics, really regimented fitness system. So 1900s, right? Now we're a century that we all were born in, right? The 1900s, Dudley Allen Sargent, he's the father of the U.S. physical fitness, and he ran the gym over at Harvard University. And when he first was brought on, it was just for the athletes. So he was training the athletes. He had studied all this gymnastics under the German teachers and then the Swedish teachers. So that was what he took to America. He trained them at Harvard. Harvard liked it so much, their athletes were doing so well, they said the entire school has to do physical education. It's important, everyone's gonna do it. Well, it was really difficult to get some of those people that were super deconditioned and scared of this to actually get on to do some of the floor routines and stuff that these gymnasts were doing. So we built machines. So he built these machines that would do isolated movements, and they would do pieces of the movements and kind of mimic the big stuff. So it's less intimidating, it was more accessible to people, more people did it. But his original intention was it was a progression, it was a stepping stone. You go, you do the machines for a couple weeks, then you get into the class with everyone else and you do some of the other stuff. 20th century, all right, so a little bit later, that's still the 20th century, 1900s, but a little bit later, kind of like 1950, 1970, you know, now you're starting to kind of figure out where we're going. General fitness kind of fell, kind of went into a lull, and now the rise of those other two categories happened. So we had the trendy fitness come up, Jack LaLanne, Richard Simmons, some of the sweat into the oldies, those types of things, Suzanne Summers and some thigh masters, the vibrating belt that you've ever seen in those like old black and white, like just stand on this vibrating belt and you'll lose weight. That's kind of the type of stuff that popped up and became really popular. The other side was the sport-specific stuff, or the sport derivative. So jogging in the 70s, bodybuilding in the 50s, 60s, and 70s started getting really popular. That's kind of what came about. And during that time also, all these governing organizations, the NSCA, ASCM, ACE, all of the different governing bodies that are still around today and are kind of like the backbone of the fitness industry, they decided to take more of a scientific approach. Instead of these people selling these snake oil crazy things to make you fit, they decided to go a different route and use kind of scientific evidence. But basically all they did was took the cardiovascular jogging fad and they took bodybuilding and they married them together. And that became what they use, and that's still what they use today. So that's still what they're promoting. They're slow to change because they want to be scientifically based, and because it takes 20 plus years for a scientific study to kind of run its course and to actually see any movement, they really don't change their principles very quickly. So that's kind of, that brings us up to present day. All right, past is done, we're in present day now. Present day, the rise of general fitness has come back, okay? So it's returned. It went away for a little while. We still have trendy fitness, right? We still have sport derivative fitness. The trendy fitness now is kind of the Zumba, the boot camps, P90X, Pilates, some of those types of things. More of the sport specific or the sport derivative stuff has been elliptical, spin class, bodybuilding, still around, still exists, running and more endurance type cardio stuff. So that's kind of the main thing that we see today, and it's still sports derived. Now the rise of the general fitness that's been happening, the return of that general physical preparedness, CrossFit is one of those big players in that. They're trying to get you fit across all 10 attributes. Yoga, I know yoga's been around for eons, but it's kind of had a resurgence and getting you fit across the power, strength, flexibility, all of those areas. Obstacle course race fitness, Joe DeCina, the guy who runs the Spartan Race Series, is really pushing for obstacle course race fitness to kind of be the next big thing, which is funny because it's actually a really huge throwback to the original running, jumping, climbing, vaulting, that type of thing, throwing. So it's kind of coming full circle. Then there's the movement. I don't know how familiar you are with like the movement and MoveNat and Primal Move and Animal Flow and the Ido Portal method. But these guys are all, I get some weird looks, but yeah. So if you don't know now, in a couple months, like they're starting to resurge. So this movement, it's kind of parkour-ish. Basically what it is, but it's like a fitness system based off of kind of parkour and natural movements, natural human movements. Again, kind of a throwback to the how fitness used to be. Fitness used to be practical applications. It never used to be just isolated movements. And then parkour, which is kind of fitness in disguise. I mean, they don't think they're fitness, but they're fitness. So with all that said, to kind of wrap up this present day, It's awesome where we are. It's awesome we have all these options. However, a lot of these elements of true fitness that are out there, they're elements, but it's not a complete system. It's missing something. All right, so everything's kind of missing some sort of aspect towards fitness, and it's kind of, there's a shortfall. So with this, a lot of these systems have creators or founders or practitioners that are very staunch in their ways, and they kind of isolate themselves out from other different fitness. So let's just say yoga, kind of isolated. They're like, CrossFit, not for me. CrossFitters are like, anything but CrossFit sucks. You have people who do powerlifting that feel the same way, people who run triathlons. I had a girl tell me at REI, she was like, CrossFit, it's way too intense. I run marathons. I'm just like, all right, cool. So everyone's kind of stuck in these beliefs. And when I first met Ryan, he had talked about fitness being an island. All right, we have all these little islands, all these pockets of fitness all over the place, and we've kind of isolated ourselves, and we're really doing a disservice by doing that, because there's such great things in all of these different fields. So why Ryan started Fit Mornings is because he wanted to bridge those islands. He wanted to take people from all these different communities and put them together. So that makes me segue into the future of fitness. So future of fitness, and where I see it going, we're still going to have our trendy fitness, all right? We're still going to have gimmicky type stuff. Bio-tracking is kind of the new big thing. Have you guys heard of bio-tracking? Basically tracking everything from your heart rate to your sleep cycles to your frequency of your bowel movements, you know, like just everything. That's definitely going to be huge. Do I think it's going to be practical? Not really. I don't think it's really going to help us get any fitter, but that's going to be a huge trend in the trendy area. Dancing to or exercise to dance music, definitely still going to be popular. Everyone loves to dance. It's great, gets people off their feet. Or on their feet? Yeah. That would be a weird dance craze. So probably dubstep will probably be the next fitness dance craze. Maybe bring back the robot, you know, for some of those movements. And then there's always going to be a magic bullet search or a magic bullet solution. One of these, like, eschew hard work, get to results. So that's what I think is going to be kind of in that trendy area. Sports specific, it's never going to go away. Sports are always going to influence fitness. However, I don't think that's ever going to lead to true fitness. I don't think it's ever going to lead to not to anything good, but to the optimal fitness. Lots of times, sports, what happens is you put fitness and health on the back burner in search of performance. So running's great. Running a lot is bad. Powerlifting's great. Powerlifting PRs all the time, trying to go for personal records is bad. CrossFit, the fitness system, in minimum effective dose, awesome. CrossFit Games, stuff you see on ESPN, hero WODs every day, WODing for 40 minutes, awful for you. It's just not good for you. And as an owner of a CrossFit gym, you can quote me on that. All right, so sport specific will never really lead to true fitness. The last thing is the true fitness. What's going to lead to the true fitness? So there's three things that I think are going to lead to true fitness. One is the bridging of those islands that Ryan likes to talk about, is bringing the best practices from all of these areas together to actually create an optimal fitness system. Special Forces is doing it right now. There's a program called Thor 3. It's the Tactical Human Optimization and Rapid Rehabilitation and Recovery Program. Yep. So the RAND Corporation got together with a bunch of different fitness systems, basically smashed them all together, put all these minds alike, and pick the best practices from everything. We've kind of incorporated a very similar system for the last year at Axistence Athletics. It's worked out awesome. Really like it. The other thing is we're going to see, so I think that's going to be a huge trend and really pushing us forward. Another thing is group classes. Group classes are huge. Personal training is great. That's never going to go away. but group classes, better results, more fun, more adherence, more accountability. However, I think they're going to move to individualized or tailored programs. So just like you get a tailor-made suit, you know, you buy the suit, then you get it tailored to you. It's the same thing that I think group classes are going to go to. We've been trying this. We've been experimenting with it for the last 6 months at our gym, and it's been amazing. The results that we've seen with people have been way faster than they were before. They're getting to their goals faster because they're doing stuff that they're working on their weaknesses. So the group classes that are kind of tailored to the individual. And then the movement. I think it's going to be less play and less unstructured, and it's going to be a little bit more structured, and they're going to have more progressions, and it'll be more accessible to people who are deconditioned and kind of out of shape. So that's kind of what my thoughts on this. To wrap up, essentially, the key to all of this, the key to the future of fitness, to getting and finding that optimal fitness, is building those bridges between these islands. And the fact that you guys are here today doing that is awesome. So thank you.